Hey yo, what's good guys? Season 8 is here with a lot of buffs and a lot of nerfs to certain guns. So I'm going to be breaking these down, giving you a little insight on like what they mean for each weapon and stuff like that. So starting off, the 50 Akimbo's got nerfed. Now I've noticed this, I've been getting zapped from miles away. Embark have decided they're going to actually decrease the damage drop off from 35 meters to 32 meters. So you're not going to get absolute zapped as much long range. It's still chunks quite a bit though, I will admit. So I think they've nudged in quite a better place, to be fair. 50 Akimbos have been pretty consistent lately. Even though the SA and the Shack's probably been dominating mainly with the heavies, I feel like this is actually a really good addition to also decrease the damage fall off max range from 42 to 39, giving the weapon slightly shorter effective range. So damage is still exactly the same, but you're not going to be able to get them really long, big damage shots. But I think from what I just shown you then, I don't think it's as bad of a nerf as you'd think. Now, the next nerf we got was for the H+ infuser. Now, I think this makes so much sense because this has been, like, the dematerializer dominating light classes. And I feel like for a gadget, it was just a little bit over the top. Just a little bit over the top. And it made medium healing beam just sad, in my opinion, to be honest with you. So that's a nice little change. The dev said that the infuser was slightly outperforming other healing items. Maybe not slightly. This change is made to address that. I do think that's a really good one, and it's only decreased from 15 to 14, so not really a massive thing. It's still going to be used a lot, I feel like, with light class. The next nerf we got was for the pike. It got decreased damage from 50 to 48, so base damage is just not going to hit as much. Also got decreased damage fall off minimum range from 45 meters to 40 meters, basically giving the weapon a slightly shorter effective range. But it did get an increased damage fall off multiplier from 0.75 to 0.8, meaning that the weapon does slightly more damage from a range. But this kind of offsets by the base damage anyway. Then they increased the size of the bullet dispersion when firing from the hip, especially when crouching, making the weapon less accurate and like shorter at mid-range. Especially when crouching, making the weapon less accurate when not aiming down the sight. Because I've noticed sometimes I was getting beamed hip fire with the pike, so that kind of makes it a little bit more harder now. And this is what the dev said about the pike. We feel the pike currently has too much utility, being both good from long range but also very viable at close range. These changes aim to get it where it should be, a medium to long range rifle that is less effective when fighting at close quarters. No, I think that's really good with the pike because the pike's actual main focus was actually medium long range, you know, from distance. The next nerf we got was for the riot shield. Now, a lot of people have not been liking the riot shield and a lot of people have been absolutely loving it. Now, I don't really get what it means with these nerfs. Let me know in the comments if you can kind of give me a better insight, especially a riot shield main. So it got a decreased maximum speed of an attack's lunge to the target from 10 meters a second to 7 meters a second. See, that doesn't sound right to me because that's quite a long distance, you know? I'm assuming it's to do with the speed, that's what I'm thinking. But then they got a decreased minimum speed of the attack's lunge to the target from 7 meters to 5.5. So you're going to have to get a lot closer before you get that little sort of lunge. Then they also decreased the trigger range of the attack lunge from 4 meters to 2.5 meters. But this is what the dev said. The recent buff to melee, including the riot shield, exposed some pre-existing issues, including its ability to quickly, reliably keep attackers on top of enemies once they reach them. So let me know in the comments if it means 10 meters a second, 10 milliseconds. I'm not too sure about that. I wish I could give you a bit more insight on the riot shield, but from what I can guess, it's just overall attack speed. And they're not going to lunge as much, basically, from a longer distance. So they're going to have to get way close to you to do damage. Now, let's talk about the nerfs for the specialization. Starting off with the winch claw. You're going to increase cooldown when missing a target from 7 seconds to 10 seconds. So say they miss one shot. They're not able to, like, maybe do what they do, run away, put a little dome behind a corner. And then within 7 seconds, quick enough for you to, like, maybe heal again. They could just get you again. You got increased cooldown when successfully hitting a cash out station or contestant from 14 seconds to 18 seconds. Which is a massive jump. A whole 4 seconds now, which I think's quite needed, to be honest with you, because I think Winch Claw is probably one of the has the highest pick rate for heavies at the moment. It also increased the cooldown when hitting all other object types from 7 seconds to 14 seconds. Now, that one is crazy. And this is what the dev said. The power and impact of the Winch Claw is out of line with some of the other heavy specializations, and that is reflected in the data. I can totally see Winch Claw being the highest pick rate. It's just one of the most versatile things at the moment. Cash out manipulations. You grab someone, tell your teammates, bap, 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 bap. You know what I mean? Gono. The next nerf we got is for the dematerializer. Now, I've used dematerializer probably all the way from season 2. I was always using it regardless, but it's only been the past couple of seasons where people have really been using it. So they've decreased the number of charges from 3 to 2, just like the data reshaper. I do think that was warranted. I think it was a little bit over the top having 3. It was so easy to be able to like manipulate environments a lot quicker and stuff like that having 3. So I think 2's a lot more better. It makes you a lot more smarter using your dematerializer. And they've also updated the dematerializer's effect on the wall when activated, adding a slight delay before the wall segment becomes fully transparent. So normally you'd open it and you'd be able to see straight through it. Now it's just a little tiny effect, not too long, that basically blocks the view of what you can actually see. Now let's see what the devs have said. These changes have been a long time coming. The dematerializer has far been the most picked specialization and the most winning across majority of the modes and skill tiers. We never intended any item to see so much usage, and it has sped up the pace of the game and how quickly cash out fight resolves. Our intent was to reduce the number of charges available to throttle the usage rate, and we felt we couldn't make the change until we fixed how unreliable opening and closing wall segments could be. I totally agree with this. I felt like dematerializer was just taking over the medium space, and it was just, everyone was using it. It's just not as fun, you know. It's nice to have that bit of variation. No, everyone was using dematerializer, but I mean, I was lucky to get a medium with a healing beam the past season or so, so I think it's really nice to be able to get that, to make them a bit more varied. Now let's talk about some of the buffs. Starting off with the Guardian turret. They decreased the cooldown from 40 seconds to 35 seconds, so someone shoots it out, you're going to get it 5 seconds quicker than what you normally would. They also decreased the cooldown when retrieving the turret from 20 seconds to 17.5 seconds. So an extra 2.5 seconds when you end up grabbing it back again, which is really good. The dev said, as specialists go, the turret was fairly underused. Yeah, I'd agree with that. We want to increase its desirability without making it too frustrating. This change will buff its availability in match. I think that's really good. I feel like Guardian turret's been a bit of the underdog, but without actually being good. So I think that was definitely needed. Next buff we got is for the healing beam. This was definitely needed. They increased the healing rate from 40 per second to 46 per second. So it's going to heal a lot quicker, a lot sooner as well. The dev said since the healing beam is a specialization, it should have been one of the most desirable healing tools in the game. Yep, I think so as well. Since the introduction of the H+ infuser and the healing emitter, aka Chuck, it's not been desirable enough. This change allows the healing beam to go from 220 to 253 healing before overheating, which should buff it to where it should be, which is going to make it really nice to have on your team again. The next buff we got is for the dual blades. Now, they've increased how quickly sprinting is re-enabled after the second attack animation begins by 25%. So if you notice you hit one, you hit twice, it's a lot quicker now to be able to keep moving forward. I feel like the riot shield definitely overshadowed the dual blade, so I think this was definitely needed. They also increased how quickly sprinting is re-enabled after the third attack animation by 15%. So basically, you're not going to get penalized when you're doing your combos and stuff like that to be able to sprint again. You're going to be able to keep your movement going, which is really good, because sometimes I felt like you'd get stuck in the mud a little bit and then you'd get punished for it. And this is what the devs have said. This change is mostly to correct some of the inconsistencies between attacks, which would essentially make you way more slower after you've done your attack animations. So if someone managed to get out your distance, managed to turn around whatever weapon they had, you wouldn't be able to catch up with them again, and it'd mess up. You'd feel like you're stuck in the mud, basically. So I think that's a really good change. I feel like the dual blades was the less desirable melee weapon between all classes. The next buff we got is for the SB01 repeater. Got an increased damage from 84 to 88, which I think was definitely warranted. It is a really good gun, but I feel like with just having single bullets and stuff like that, and it being not the easiest to hit with. I mean, obviously, I'm an absolute aim god, so that's why I'm hitting shots with it. Nah, I'm only joking. But this is what the dev said. The SB01 has struggled to perform across most of the modes and seen a very low pick rate. This change is intended to improve its viability. I think that's a really, really good idea. Now, the last buff we got was for the LH1. Do you remember what this is? This is one of those guns where when it got nerfed, it was like it vanished from the game. I've rarely seen any lights use it up to this point. But basically what they've done is they've increased the base damage from 42 to 44. And this is what the dev said. We're still trying to get the LH1 in a place where it's viable but not dominant. Previous changes have made it really bottom out in both usage and performance. We're nudging it to improve its viability and desirability. And I think that's really needed because, like I said, it was like the LH1 never existed, you know? And lastly, the thermal vision has been temporarily disabled, and this is what the devs have said about it. Thermal vision has struggled with a considerable number of bugs and issues for some time now. Issues that are not simple or quick to fix. Some issues can offer players an unintended advantage, so we've made the decision to bench the gadget for now. I've seen it a little bit, but it's hard to know when someone's actually using it unless, you know, there's smoke everywhere and someone absolutely zaps you. So I don't know. I'm not too sure what advantage it was, but it must have been a pretty big advantage, kind of like what they thought with the stun gun. So that's all the nerfs and the buff, guys, for all the weapons. Majority of stuff. Now, there's other stuff in the patch notes, but I just wanted to get this out there mainly for the main things you use, which, you know, is your gun. If you like this type of content, make sure to like and subscribe. Not my first time, but I never really do these type of videos. I wanted to kind of practice a little bit and get better at this type of stuff. You know, just talking off the cuff kind of thing and stuff like that. So if you leave me a like, it lets me know that I've done good. And if you leave me a dislike, I know what to work on. Well, leave me a comment as well. Catch you in the next one. God, I'm stupid.